The loss of a loved one is one of the greatest hardships a family can endure. Moving on from such a tragedy may sometimes feel impossible. And while everyone's way of dealing with the grief following such an event is different, some turn to writing as a form of therapy to help them deal with their grief. Some of history's most famous works deal with the subject of death, dying, and the afterlife. Works like Hamlet, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, and The Raven, to name a few, have succeeded in not only helping the writers move on from the death of a loved one, but also their readers. And for Kouri Richins and her 3 sons, writing seemed as the perfect way to help her family deal with the sudden and unexpected death of her husband of 9 years, Eric Richins. The written word became a lifeline to navigate the labyrinth of loss as they sought solace in the eloquence of ink, weaving their own narrative of healing and remembrance from the threads of sorrow. However, beneath the facade of grief, an unsettling reality about Eric's death was about to surface. Eric Richins came from a ranching family in Utah. He was described by his loved ones as a serious athlete known for his laughter, likability, and his willingness to help those in need. He never wanted recognition or accolades. He did most things anonymously and without recognition. Eric was a true pillar of the community. It didn't matter if you were an employee, family, friend, or the next random person walking down the street. If you needed anything, you could count on him. Eric made sure to set time aside to do what he loved most and made sure that everyone around him did the same. He was a great father that doted on his 3 sons, teaching them to always give their all and to always play aggressive. He loved each of his children equally and wanted the absolute best for each of them. Eric was also a successful businessman who ran a masonry business. He would meet his future wife Kouri while shopping at Home Depot, where she worked as a cashier. They met through a colleague of hers, and according to her, from then on, they were like glued to each other. The couple soon started living together and had their first son. On June 15th, 2013, they were married, with Kouri having to sign a prenuptial agreement on the same day. After getting married, the pair had 2 more children, and Kouri left her job at Home Depot to start work as a real estate agent. The family of 5 was now living in Kamas, Utah, in a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom home of nearly 5,000 square feet, and they frequently went on vacation abroad. From the outside looking in, the Richins were a perfect family. Unfortunately, things would soon take a turn for the worst for the Richins. According to Kouri, on March 4th, 2022, the pair was celebrating the closing of a house for Kouri's business. Kouri made Eric a cocktail, which he drank along with taking a THC gummy. Soon after Eric had his drink, Kouri went to sleep with her kids, and Eric went to sleep in their bedroom. Later that night, she would wake up and go to the bed Eric was sleeping in. Kouri would find her husband on the foot of the bed, and, according to her, cold to the touch. She would call 911 and emergency services were quick to arrive on the scene. The following is an excerpt of the transcript from the body cam footage of the police officer in charge of handling the crime scene. "So, what happened today?" "I don't know. He was fine. We were fine." "Okay, and when you say we were fine, what time did you see him when he was alert?" "We had a drink together at 9 to celebrate something at work tomorrow. We went to bed. I went to bed with my kids. He went to bed in our bed." "What time did you guys go to bed?" 9:30, 9:45. "And what alerted you to him today, right now?" "What I just woke up. When I sleep with my kids, I'll just wake up and I go to my own bed. And I just crawled on his side and And he was laying in his bed? No, he was on his back, in his bed. And I just... Does he have any medical conditions or anything like that? Well, he has Lyme's disease. I mean, nothing major, but... Okay, so no heart problems or anything like that? No, he just said his chest was hurting when he went to bed. But that's... I mean, not... If he doesn't get enough water, you know, when he gets on his bike downstairs, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. And then he said he was really tired because he got his allergy shots yesterday morning. Okay, and when did you discover him? What time? I got up, I got my phone, and maybe it was 3. Did you immediately call 911? Yeah, well, I mean, I got up and, well, as soon as I turned over, he was cold. I just felt like something was wrong. So, I mean, I just put the blanket on him because I thought we keep our room cold. So and then I sat there for a minute and I just didn't feel like his, breathing or anything. And so I turned the blanket on and it was just like, I said, Eric. And he just felt so heavy. And any COVID or anything like that? We all just got over COVID. His last negative test was a week ago. After asking about how she spelled her first name, Kouri, unprovoked, said, "We eat gummies. Sometimes he'll eat a gummy before he goes to bed. He didn't look like he did though. So like a THC gummy? Yeah." The officer would then leave Kouri and check on the paramedics who were in Eric's room. One of the paramedics was confused as to why there was so much blood coming out of Eric's mouth when they started doing compressions, wondering if he had suffered a brain aneurysm. The paramedic would also tell the officer that Eric did not have a pulse and that she presumes he was dead for a while as he was very cold to the touch. The paramedics also discovered a prescription bottle for hydrocodone dated 2016 that Eric had supposedly been taking for his Lyme's. The officer would later talk to Kouri again, and she corroborated all of the information she provided him previously. The now widowed Kouri was grief-stricken, and she would often get teary-eyed when talking about her now deceased husband. Just a few days after the 1-year anniversary of Eric's death, Kouri published the children's book, Are You With Me?, which she wrote in order to help guide her children, as well as others, through grief.
So my husband passed away unexpectedly last year. So it's March 4th was a 1-year anniversary for us, and he was 39. It completely took us all by shock. And we have 3 little boys, 10, 9, and 6. And you know, my kids and I kind of wrote this book on the different emotions and grieving processes that we've experienced last year, and you know, hoping that it can kind of help other kids, you know, deal with this and kind of, you know, find happiness some way or another.
And to make sense and process, I'm sure. And I'm sure you felt that going through and trying to explain it and articulate it for you and your boys.
Yes, exactly. And so I've done, you know, I'm new to all of this, so kind of doing all, you know, research and reading books and things to try and understand, you know, not only how to grieve as a widow, as a wife, but also, you know, with my kids, how to help them understand what just happened. And what I have kind of found is, as I mentioned, it's kind of the 3 C's is how I visualize it, and it's, you know, connection, continuity, and care. And it's, you know, making sure connection is the major one, and making sure that their spirit is always alive in your home, you know, and memories are always brought up, and doing things that your loved ones love to do, whether it's riding bikes or their favorite dinner, and just constantly, talking about them. And
Kouri, do you mention at dinner, here's Dad, or Dad would like this meal, or Dad
Yes.
would, let's bring Dad on a bike ride?
Yeah, exactly. And it's, explaining to my kids, just because he's not present here with us physically, that doesn't mean his presence isn't here with us, and he's doing these things with us. And he's, here for birthdays, and he's here for Christmas, and, and it's just comforting to them to know that, they're not living this life alone. Like, Dad is still here, it's just in a different way, a different version.
Well, I opened up your book, and one of the first pages I saw is a little boy. It looks like he's standing in a hallway at school, and he's saying, "Are you still here?"
Yes, yeah, and it's, and that was like the first day of school, and, all the nerves that kids face on the first day of school with new, and just hoping, Dad, like, walk with me, like, help me get through today, like, give me the strength to do that. And it has found, it's been a lot of peace for my kids to, to really remember that in the back of their head, that they're never alone, so.
So you actually wrote this book with your children.
I did.
And it's only been a year. How did you process and say go from processing death to, I need to write a book and help others?
I just watched the struggle that my kids were going through, and I actually, I went on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and trying to find something that we could use to cope at nights. Nights are the hardest, it seems like, for everybody when, dealing with anything, but I just wanted some story to read to my kids at night, and I just could not find anything. I couldn't find anything that really, suited them or helped them find comfort and peace, and so, I was like, let's just write one. And so, I took things that my kids have said to me this last year, and we kind of articulated it and put it into a story, and, just have hopes that it will help other kids.
The book featured illustrations of Eric as an angel, depicting him cheering his kids on in various moments of their lives. Are you in the clouds when I look up to see you, to tell you about my day and ask you about yours, and tell you that I love you? Are you at my soccer game when I scored that goal for you? I looked for you in the crowd, but you weren't there. Did you see it? Are you with me on my birthday to blow out my candles, to celebrate another year and watch me grow, teach me new things and watch me make mistakes? Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you to listen about your day and tell you about mine. I sit next to you while you talk, with my arm around your shoulder and my head on your head as we talk together. I am with you when you scored that goal for me. You couldn't hear me cheer for you, but I yelled and clapped as hard as I could, just like always. Yes, I am with you while you blow out your candles for another birthday. Although I'll miss the upcoming years, I stand hand in hand with you, walking with you, helping you, and praising you. I'll watch you grow into a fine young man. The book racked up impressive sales on Amazon, with many people sympathizing with the grieving widow. However, soon after this interview, the public would find out the gruesome truth behind the death of Eric Richins. Information on Kouri's early life is scarce. We do know that Kouri was born on April 20th of 1990 to mother Lisa Darden and father Ronald Horace Darden. Like Eric, she was a Mormon. After marrying Eric and having their 3 kids, Kouri wasn't satisfied with being just a housekeeper. She wanted success. Moreover, she wanted to be successful on her own. It was her ambition that led Kouri to carve a path to success. A path that would unfortunately lead to Eric's death. Shortly after starting her career as a real estate agent, Kouri would run into financial problems. Starting from 2016, Kouri would start secretly stealing money from Eric in order to flip houses. She had also withdrawn at least $100,000 from his bank account and spent over $30,000 of his credit cards, as well as using his power of attorney to secure a $250,000 loan and cashing checks from his business for her own use. Eric learned about his wife's secret financial decisions in September 2020, and then met with a divorce lawyer and estate planner the next month. She reportedly agreed to pay her husband back when he confronted her about the missing money. By 2017, Kouri had also taken out 4 life insurance policies that amounted to $2 million in the case of Eric's death, of which she was the beneficiary. In December of 2020, Eric would remove Kouri from his will and had changed his insurance policies so that the beneficiary would now be his sister. Kouri allegedly tried to name herself the beneficiary of that policy, but was caught, and Eric Richins reversed the move. With her mounting debts and on the brink of divorce, Kouri would do the unthinkable. In 2019, on a trip to Greece, Eric became violently ill after Kouri gave him a drink, according to an affidavit, and he later called his sister, saying he believed Kouri had tried to kill him. A few years later, on Valentine's Day of 2022, the couple celebrated the holiday with a dinner at home, after which Eric again became very ill. Eric believed that he had been poisoned and had told a friend that he thought his wife was trying to poison him. Unbeknownst to Eric, between December 2021 and January 2022, according to court documents, Kouri had contacted an acquaintance with drug convictions and asked them to procure some pain medication for an investor who had a back injury. The acquaintance bought hydrocodone pills from a dealer and left them at the house Kouri was sleeping. She left cash in return, but Kouri reached out again about 2 weeks later, claiming the investor wanted something stronger and was asking for some of that Michael Jackson stuff, specifically for fentanyl. 3 days before Valentine's Day 2022, Kouri paid $900 for 50 to 30 fentanyl pills. But 2 weeks after that, she again went back to the acquaintance and asked for another $900 worth of the same drugs. The pills were left at the outdoor fire pit of the Midway house, where Kouri had left cash, according to the documents. The Midway house in question had caused heated arguments between Eric and Kouri, with Eric not agreeing with purchasing the house Kouri was hell-bent on flipping. 6 days after Kouri procured the last batch of fentanyl pills, on March 4th, Eric died of a fentanyl overdose, and Kouri almost immediately closed on the Midway house. She held a party at her home the day after his death to celebrate the property deal, and on March 6th, she would hire a locksmith to drill into Eric's safe. There was somewhere between $125,000 and $165,000 inside. 2 weeks after his death, Kouri put the 20,000 square foot home back on the market. An autopsy determined that Eric died of an overdose after the medical examiner found 5 times the lethal dosage of fentanyl in his system. The medical examiner concluded that the drug had been ingested orally. Shortly after promoting her book on ABC4, on May 8, 2023, Kouri was charged with the aggravated murder of her husband and possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. After her arrest, her book was withdrawn from Amazon. The investigation leading up to the arrest of Kouri revealed that she had exchanged text messages with her housekeeper, a convicted drug dealer. It was her that had supplied Kouri with the fentanyl pills. She later admitted to supplying Kouri Richins with 15 to 30 fentanyl pills on 2 separate occasions, approximately 1 month before Eric's death. She stated Kouri paid her approximately $900 each time she supplied the pills. She provided details of the solicitation of the drugs, the pickup and drop-off locations, and other pertinent details that have been corroborated with digital forensic evidence. Furthermore, the investigation had revealed Kouri's search history to be full of incriminating queries made months before the death of Eric. She allegedly searched for queries like Can cops force you to do a lie detector test? And death certificate says pending. Will life insurance still pay? Kouri is also accused of asking, if someone is poisoned, what does it go down on the death certificate as? She also searched for luxury prisons for the rich in America and how to permanently delete information from an iPhone remotely. On March 15th, 2022, she would also leave a review for a ghostwriting service. As of writing this script, Kouri still remains in custody. At a detention hearing on June 12, 2023, she cried as prosecutors argued the evidence against her was strong enough to deny her bail. Prosecutors alleged that Richins had calculatingly plotted to kill her husband, making financial agreements and purchasing drugs found in his system. Summit County Chief Prosecutor Patricia Castle said, 1 or 2 pills might be accidental. 20 or 5 times the lethal dose is not accidental. That is someone who wants Eric dead. Richins' attorneys argued the evidence against her was both dubious and circumstantial. On September 14th, 2023, during a search of Kouri's cell, a 6-page letter was found that was addressed to her mother. The letter was incredibly incriminating and could serve as evidence that Kouri is witness tampering. The letter, which started with the words, "Walk the dog, but take vague notes so you remember," was allegedly shared with Kouri's mother via video call. In the letter, Kouri had told her mother to get her brother to lie in court and claimed that Richins' dead husband Eric got the drugs and pain pills that killed him from Mexico. Sky is saying even if the gummies have fentanyl in them, the prosecutor will say that I tried to put the fentanyl in the gummies, so Eric would have them. Stupid, I know, but that's what she's thinking. We will still test them though. However, she wants to link Eric getting drugs and pills from Mexico, so we need some kind of a connection. Her private investigator is doing some research on the ranch Eric was staying at. Here's what I'm thinking. But you have to talk to Ronnie. He would probably have to testify to this, but it's short, not a lot to it. He will need to tell Sky at the next meeting. A year prior to Eric's death, Ronnie was over watching football one Sunday, and Eric and Ronnie were chatting about Eric's trips. Eric told Ronnie he gets pain pills and fentanyl from Mexico from the workers at the ranch, and not to tell me because I would get mad because I always said he just gets high and won't help take care of the kids. There are pictures in my phone of Eric passed out on the chair. Ronnie should have texts from Eric talking about getting high as well. Eric told Ronnie that he keeps them in an allergy pill bottle in his work truck so I wouldn't find them. Ronnie never told me about the conversation. She would later write about how Eric, in order to keep up appearances, would hide his drugs in Kouri's bags so that, in the case someone found them, he could blame it on Kouri. In the same letter, she also writes, "When you talk to Ronnie about this, meet up with him in person. I worry sometimes your phone and house are bugged." Sky has to make the connection between Eric and Mexico because that makes the most sense in her mind. Tell Ronnie not to overanalyze it. It was a 2-minute conversation, lol. Also, please text Lotto or call. Tell him do not text me anything about us doing things together ever, like church, skiing, trips, nothing that puts us together. Take vague notes of this so you remember before you walk the dog. On September 16th, Kouri would state that the letter was not actually a letter to her mother, but an excerpt of the new fictional book she is writing. Quote, "Those papers were not a letter to you guys. They were part of a freaking book. I was writing this fictional mystery book. I go to Mexico and I'm trying to find these drugs. I'm writing about Dad, like me and Dad went to Mexico to find these drugs. You can tell the whole thing is very much a story. I said have Sky sneak me in some white strips because my teeth are getting yellow because all we do is drink coffee in the Mexican prison." As of making this video, Kouri is still awaiting trial. She has maintained her innocence during her incarceration. While I want to remain as neutral as possible while covering cases like this, I would still like to share my personal thoughts on Kouri. While she is not yet tried, and still presumed innocent in the eyes of the law, Kouri shares many similarities with other husband killers, down to displaying unnerving narcissistic tendencies. Her behavior before and after the death of Eric is downright disturbing, throwing parties and making business deals so soon after the father of her 3 children had died is not behavior typically associated with grieving widows. The worst part of all of this, however, is the fact that Kouri wrote a book to help her kids move on from the death of their father, whom she killed. The ever-mounting piles of evidence leads me to believe that Kouri is fighting a losing battle. Kouri Richins had written herself as the main character of her book. Unfortunately, it seems that her book won't have a happy ending.